ad read here.
Wait for the ad read?
Yeah, I thought that's what we were starting with.
Wait, you're leaving this in, right? Right?
Sure, I can leave this in.
You're gonna leave this awkward silence in, just dead air on radio.
I'll edit the dead air out.
You'll edit the dead air out. Okay, so we're gonna start out with some sponsors. I'm gonna work some of them in also to our podcast as well. So our first one is, I'm wearing their shirt. It's if you're watching the video version of this, I just pointed to my shirt as Project XGuard. Raul Chavez has started a not-for-profit that is working with at-risk youth in the GTA. He is on Instagram at Raul Chavez and also Project XGuard. He is working with a lot of at-risk youth in the area. So if you know somebody who would benefit from the programs that he is running, reach out to him, or you can reach out to us at the Choking Hazard podcast page. That's Project XGuard and Raul Chavez. The other one, or another big sponsor is, and I'm not reading what Aaron sent me, I'm going to read my own thing, is SpiritLeaf, Waterdown, Ontario. Shout out to Alex Tang and his crew that he has here. It's a brand new cannabis store there that just opened up as early as last week. They have all the CBD, all the THC, all the C3PO, all the R2D2 that you could possibly need. They got edibles, they got gummies, they got more candy than Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. They're located at, guess what, Aaron? Where are they located at? Do you know?
64 Hamilton Street in Waterdown.
That's 20 minutes. That's right. 20 minutes outside of Peel region. If you're also in the Hamilton region, you're probably about 20 minutes from there as well. They have all the connects that you need. Now, this is an in-store promotion. You need to go specifically into that SpiritLeaf location that's located at, Aaron?
64 Hamilton Street, Waterdown.
So there is a code. We have a post that we put out. Our code is CH Podcast 10. There's a post that we have. You need to be following us. You also need to be following the SpiritLeaf Waterdown page. You need to show them that code at checkout and that post, and you will get 10% off all of your purchases that you will be making there with that. Hopefully, that is SpiritLeaf Waterdown. You have to be over the age of 19.
Hey,
Now
sorry to cut in real quick. Waterdown's my hometown, so shout out Waterdown. That's across the street from Ouroboros. Shout out Andre Grambois. My mom has a daycare out there. Go check out Parkside Daycare.
No, that's awesome. I love it.
We're gonna get Bill's mom to sponsor us. Shout out Parkside Daycare.
That's it.
For all your toddler needs, your kids being a Pusatangi.
Just down the street from SpiritLeaf Waterdown.
So you can put your kid in there. You could go to SpiritLeaf Waterdown. You can pick up what you need, and then you can go pick up your child. And that's also located at, Bill?
The corner of Parkside and Hamilton Street.
Beautiful. We now have a third sponsor. It's Bill's mom.
There we go. All right, continue.
No, this is perfect because here we are. We are supporting local businesses, especially in a time where we are being shut down and lockdowns and red zones and gray zones and everything. So, and I think it's important, especially like we're talking about different businesses and all that kind of jazz and getting the message out and how do we shop local or support local. That's a big importance. So I'm glad we were able to collaborate like that. That was amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Great guys.
So today we are joined with Bill Defreitas of the Grappling Canada Variety Channel. So Bill, tell us like what you've been doing, because we got in touch mostly through your channel. And you've been kind of like go in the background throughout this entire process, but like how long have you been running this channel for?
I started just after New Year last year, basically right before the pandemic. So terrible timing, but yeah, so like almost a year now.
Excellent. So what kind of made you kind of get into that? Like, what was it?
Basically, admitting to myself that I'm washed up and maybe not going to be the competitor that I thought I was going to be.
Okay.
And,
That's okay. Aaron found that out about 10 years ago. I found that out about 20 years ago. It's all good.
Yeah, but like honestly, and then looking around, we got a lot of talented guys, and people just need some more exposure. And I figured I could help. There's a bit of gap there, like in the market. So why not? Like we got like Sims just came third in pans. Like we have some really good guys out there, and just people need to know about it.
Absolutely. He had a really good performance, and he was facing like world-class talent. And with that said, I think a lot of people, I think outside of Canada, maybe even Ontario, they kind of overlook, I think, a lot of guys that go down there and compete. But there's a lot of people, and like you mentioned, like Steve Sims is like a perfect example of somebody like he's at that level where like he just took bronze in an absolute, and he lost to Hulk, but like Hulk's also like a world-class talent. We're also going to have, I think, Nathan DeSantos on in a couple of weeks. He's somebody who is at that level too, and he also competed against him at one point as well, where these guys are there, they just need the exposure, and they're competitive with all these world-class names that Lucas Barbosa, Kynan, and all the guys at Autos, and all the guys like all the Danaher guys. Like the guys that we have here, I think, are just as good as the guys that are down there.
Exactly, and Nathan DeSantos is a good example. Like I've been grappling around here for almost 10 years, and I didn't know anything about him until this year. And like Michael Sheehan roasted me. He's like, how do you not know him?
Do you know this man? Do you not know this man?
Yeah, he's like, are you serious? I had no clue, and I watched some of his matches, and he's fucking sick, man. Like, so yeah, again, just more exposure. That's all I'm trying to do.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing where, especially like when we had Ricardo on, we were talking about like Canadian media, right? So, and it's not necessarily the, as much as we want to have like Flow Grappling and all these big companies come up here to talk about it, it's guys like yourself, guys like us, like small venues or whatever, or media streams to start building this content. And then we can eventually start getting these guys a little bit more exposure, especially on a local scene, and then building them out even further.
Yeah, for sure. And through this, like I've already started discovering way more people that I've never heard of before. Like I'll start shouting out somebody from Toronto, then I'll hear from somebody at Carlson Gracie Frontline in Calgary. And they're like, this girl Chase Decima, I forget what it was. I think it was Purple Belt Guy Pans, her first tournament at Purple Belt, and wins gold. Like I've never heard of her. Like people need to know about these competitors.
Yeah, we haven't even really scratched the surface of like what we've talked to a lot of people in Ontario. Like we haven't even touched like even too many people outside of it. We've talked to a couple of people in Quebec. We talked to like Glenn McKenzie recently, but like we haven't talked to even a lot of people out west. And there's a lot of untapped talent out there as well. There's a lot of world-class guys that they just basically what it comes down to, they just need the exposure. Nobody knows them, but like they have the potential to win major tournaments internationally.
Yeah, for sure. Like that was the plan at the start of this, was to drive maybe not out west, but at least I met a couple guys from Winnipeg. This team, DST, this guy Dion Estos, I had a good match against Darson actually. And I was going to plan on drive out there, meet those guys. I wanted to go out east to, I think everybody wants to meet Kent Peters at some time or at some point, but whatever. For now, like these interviews are great too. Like what you guys are doing, you can reach out to anybody really. Like you just got to meet some people out west, and you can have your interview with them, start giving them some more exposure, and that's all we can do.
No, for sure. So kind of like, where do you kind of like picture like your channel like going? Like, do you feel like you're trying to build it up more, or is it just keep going? Obviously, travel a little bit more.
Yeah, I want to travel more. I want to use the channel, and I guess the brand is something more than just a channel and like an Instagram page. I want to turn it into something more real. But it's a long plan. It's going to take some time. So I'm not saying too much about it right now, just because you never know what's going to happen. I mean, 3 months in and my plans changed completely. So I'm not thinking too far ahead in the future,
It's hard to plan right now based on what's going on. But with that said, there's a lot of potential for, there's media sources and outlets like Aaron even mentioned in a previous podcast we had Ricardo on, and there's not really, I think like one of the main problems I think we all agree with is like there's a lot of really good guys here, but just nobody knows of them outside of like their gym.
Yeah. When's Ricardo gonna have some Canadians on his show?
Never. Probably never. He's big timing us now. Well, he came on here, but like, you know, but like I think he's working for Full Grappling right now, and he's doing a lot of things internationally. So, but with that said, I think it's, you know, why can't we have more local people on here? Like why, you know?
Yeah, and you know, like Flow Grappling's great. They're amazing. I have nothing bad to say. Like whatever they do is great for the sport. We're such a small sport, anyways, that anything to get attention is great. But like just speaking of exposure, I was watching Pans obviously quite a bit this weekend, and like they really go on to like the popular guys. You know what I mean? Because it's good for the brand. It builds it faster. Like there's this guy out of Henzo's, Damian Anderson. He's a solid competitor. He's awesome. But at Pans, he won his first match. Second match, he lost by ref's decision. No big deal. But right away, Flo posts like his submission from the first match right after he loses in the second round. And then we have a guy, that Max Hansen guy I've been talking to, ran through his division and then loses in the finals. And you're never going to hear about him, you know?
Yeah, that's somebody we're actually going to have on next week, actually. So he's somebody that I've seen. I think I've ref some of his matches as well. So that's somebody I've noticed that he's had some success competing at like a lot of like, I think like Nogi Pans specifically, that he's been doing well. And if you look at a lot of like big like Nogi Pans, Nogi Worlds, like there's a lot of Canadians that slip in there, and like, you know, Steve Sims is a perfect example of somebody who's like, he made an absolute black belt podium, and that's like, it's a huge accomplishment. Like he's basically world class with all those other guys.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was at the last Nogi Worlds, but there would have been two. Yeah, I might not be right here, but yeah, Max faced another Canadian in the finals, and then there was another finals with Urgis and Amr. So there's like two all-Canadian finals. So like there's good guys out here, man. Good guys.
So what do you kind of think is like, sorry, no, go for it.
No, you go.
Okay. So what do you kind of think is like on a, whether it's an athlete thing or is it more of like organization thing? What do you think like the Canadian athletes need to do to get themselves more exposure? Or is it just us creating more media to build off that? What's your kind of take on it?
Yeah, I think at this point it's just more. We just need more of everything, more competitors, more media. It's just tough because it's a sport with not a ton of money involved, right? So not a lot of these American organizations are going to be wanting to fly out a Canadian guy or something like that to compete. There's not too many big tournaments that come around here. The one thing that we really need to change around here, and I don't know the ins and outs, so I can't say like how easy this is, but we got to get heel hooks allowed around here. It just makes for more exciting.
Hey, we need to have heel hooks around here.
Look, it just makes for more exciting matches because it's that like ooh factor, it's the shock factor, you know, like you don't see a flash rear naked choke, you know, you don't see like a wide, like it's a long setup, you know, but you see these crazy whoa there, Mike. You see these crazy like heel hooks where the guy spins out of bounds and like crazy taps and stuff like that. It just makes for more exciting matches. That's all.
Yeah, I think now that the IBJJF has legalized it, and I think when you look at like organizations like this Canadian Jiu-Jitsu Association and the OJA and the OGA, like now that the main kind of people are supporting it, it might be easier to get it legalized for local tournaments, hopefully at the brown black level.
It will.
I think
it will. Yeah. Because basically what the OJA goes on is what the IBJJF goes on. So if the IBJJF makes like a major rule change, usually the OJA and the CJA and all the other organizations will follow suit as well, because that's the rule set that they follow.
Yeah. What are the rules that the IBJJF is going to pass, and when do they come in effect?
I think it's 2021. It's supposed to happen.
Is it just reaping
2021
or heel hooks, or what's the?
It's both for brown and black belt, but that's specifically to no gi. So gi, you can't heel hook somebody, you can't reap somebody, but in no gi, you can do both. At brown and black belt. Now, we had this discussion with Patricia. Maybe not a good idea to do it at white belt. But I agree with brown and black belt. And also from like a refereeing standpoint, it makes things a lot more black and white, because with like a knee reap rule, there could be so many different directions that it can go. It could be a penalty. It could be just, place your foot here, keep going. You can get to, it could be a total disqualification depending on what the situation is.
Yeah. Did you see what happened in Taz's match?
I did not.
No. It's a perfect example of why it's like, okay, good. Like let's just make this easier for everybody. Take the rule out of there, because it's a rule that's I thought was cleared up by now. He entered that inside triangle position from the bottom. The guy was on one knee. So he had inside triangle from the bottom. Basically, this is what Gordon did at I think it was the No-Gi Worlds or Pans, where he swept from there and would come up on top and then pass. So Taza had this exact position on the guy. Not easy to get. Like, that's the battle. And ref stops the match, separates them, gives Taza a penalty. And it was a completely legal thing. And it's like, I mean, if you get a bad ref's decision or something when you're like a blue belt or a purple belt, who cares? But at black belt and those types of situations like that, that can't happen. Like, the refs have to know the rules.
I think it's not necessarily what the rule is. It's also, it's a very gray area. So you can take that situation and you can have three refs interpret it three different ways. And I think that's a major issue when it comes to like the IBJJF rule set. Is one person can be like, okay, well, that's a penalty because, his foot's like across like the midline of the body. Okay, you're going to reset and all that. Another person will just let it go. And another person could disqualify the person. He's like, oh, he's holding his ankle on that side. And like, it looks like he's going for a foot lock. That's a DQ. You can't do that. That's a reap and a foot lock. But that's why I think at a brown black belt level, it's good to get just, hey, let reaping be legal. Let heel hooks be legal. If you're a brown or a black belt, you should know how to defend both those things by that time. Because if you're a brown or a black belt, you're pretty much at the advanced kind of professional level of jiu-jitsu. Mm-hmm. Where you should know what a heel hook is. You should know what a reap is. And, like, I get protecting white belts because it's like protecting like a little, toddler who's like trying to stick his fork in an outlet. That's basically how I view outlet, or like trying to protect Aaron from himself sometimes. But basically the rules are there to kind of protect, from injuries and protect competitors from themselves for the most part. But like at a brown or a black belt level, like, people know what positions are good and bad and how deep things are. So they should have the responsibility to either tap or, know how to defend certain things, i.e. reaping, heel hooks, etc. Yeah,
for sure. What's the thought behind no heel hooks and gi? Is it just like the friction is too tight? You get wrapped up in there? What's the deal there?
I've seen a lot of issues where you can get stuck in those positions. And like, even if you have, you're doing the proper defenses and everything, just like clothing can get caught. Like, how many times have you guys rolled and like your foot got stuck in someone's sleeve or someone's belt or something? Like, so in regards to that, like if somebody goes for a heel hook and then you try to defend, but your foot is stuck and that guy doesn't know, like that's a blown out ACL. And now you're not training for a year because your leg was stuck in a position that you couldn't defend. And as something like a heel hook can go, it's one of those, all submissions, like you can crank on an arm bar and things will snap, crackle, and pop very quickly. But like a heel hook, you're rotating a lot of ligaments to the knee. So those will snap really quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've always felt like with arm bars and stuff like that, if you don't know what you're doing, like if you're a white belt, you can let a white belt spaz on your arm and you're not going to be too worried about it. But if somebody gets your heel and they're just going nuts, like you could still get some good damage there. Like, I really think it has to be worth it to compete with heel hooks.
Yeah. I think like a professional level, they're fine. Like, but if it's a white belt who's 40, who's doing it on the weekends and it's like basically his shinny hockey equivalent, then like they don't need to. They like sure they should learn like heel hooks and everything because it's a part of the martial art itself. But with that said, I don't think they need to be doing heel hooks at white belts.
Or just learn to tap early.
Learn to tap early.
That's what I always do with those, man.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how schools adjust to it. So obviously, like how they start teaching it into their curriculum, whether they start introducing it more into blue and purple compared to like only at purple to brown to black and all that. But I'm curious to see how the level of that teaching will change, especially with all these new guys learning these techniques at a younger level. I think it's going to be interesting to see how all these schools react, especially in Ontario. But I know like in the US where it's a little bit more free for all, but here it would be very interesting.
Yeah, I think you'd see a lot of gyms that you don't hear about too often. You would see a lot more of their jiu-jitsu competitors being successful with those rules being in place. Like I know Parabellum, they start with, I mean, when they were around, unfortunately, but they started teaching basically heel hooks from like the start. And a lot of their competitors are really, really good. It just you don't hear about them in the in like the gi categories around here very much. So it's too bad they're not around anymore.
Hopefully things get hopefully the situation resolves itself and a lot of these schools can reopen again.
Yeah, I mean, Rory was just doing so much for the community. Like he was doing more than any of us as far as putting on those events and really, really giving guys a spotlight. Like he had a lot of momentum going. It was good.
Yeah, you know what? Like he was having really good success with the Parabellum, the quintets, which I thought was a really good idea. I'd like to see them get expanded a little bit more. Just see how they can start adding. Obviously, we can't do shows right now anyways, let alone a tournament. But I really do hope to see a lot of the schools that have shut down be able to come back. But it's going to be interesting to see who is able to come back, especially after the first and the second shutdown and the unknown effect and all that kind of jazz. So, so you've been kind of around to a bunch of different places. Like how's the atmosphere been around clubs? Like, how has it been with like competitors? Are they still getting some training in? Like,
again, I guess it kind of depends on the gym, right? Some are still pretty cautious about training. There's some guys are getting their work in still. Like you could see Steve didn't miss a beat, like everybody's just keeping it positive. It's tough because it's already a hard sport to do full time and remain competitive when there is competition going on. So it's like now everybody's just trying to stay positive and just be like, we're just staying sharp, 8 months later, just keeping sharp, But I don't know, man. Everybody's being as good as you can about it, What do you do?
Well, yeah, you have to adapt and kind of build off that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. You got to lift some weights like I've been doing, and you're trying to go up like multiple weight classes. That's the goal.
What are you clocking in at right now?
I'm clocking in at about 260 right now.
Oh my goodness. Are you for real or no?
I was about 180 before lockdown. Now I'm about 260.
I think
I'm taking some sweet ass supplements from CanadianProtein.com. You have no idea, bro. I put on like 60 pounds of muscle and
just
like
eating clean.
Lockdown. Just eating clean.
Clean.
Eat cleanse, trend hard.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's funny, man.
See, that's how you work in our sponsors, Aaron.
Sure. Okay, no problem.
Aaron's actually gone the reverse. He's actually gone from 260 to 180 back to 260 now that he's back in another shutdown.
Yeah. Working on it.
Speaking of that though, a lot of guys have definitely been hitting the weights. You see a lot of people haven't been wasting their time, and people are definitely going to be going up some weight classes. I think Darson just signed up for like a middleweight for World's Masters or something like that.
Yeah, no, he's never going back down to light feather ever.
No, he's not vegan anymore. He's not a soy boy, so he's lifting weights. He went up about 4 weight classes. But good, you know what? Good for him though. I honestly feel when I'm lifting, getting stronger, my body physically feels better. I don't feel as banged up. especially when like Aaron tries to spaz on me when we're training. Like I don't feel
Hey,
as like
you have to remember, I am not
Yep.
the one who ripped your knee apart. That was Charlon.
That was somebody else. Yes.
What happened to your
with me?
Yeah.
Okay, so I had a gentleman who's about 180, 185 pounds. He was like a former power lifter. So like he's deadlifted like
trucks
650 pounds like in his prime. Like he's freak athlete. Like used to be like run track and field guy. So shout out to Charlon if he's listening to this. But we were training. He picked up jiu-jitsu. Like he was really immersing himself in it. So we were training. I was just doing like single leg defense. He's trying to take me down. I'm kind of being a dick and like tripping him and doing different things. And then like I think I awoke the eye of the tiger, and he basically treated my leg like a barbell and snapped it in half.
Okay.
But like basically he dislocated my knee, but he was just so strong that like when he went to pull on a single, he just like all the fast twitch muscle fibers, he just like reefed. And then like I just felt my knee like wrap around almost 180 around my leg.
Oh,
I think I think my face just went white. I was like,
it did. It did.
And then Aaron's looking at me like, something's wrong. Mike usually doesn't make those faces.
What was the actual injury? Because like I tore my meniscus a while ago. I got surgery apparently coming up in January, and some people are like, well, it's loosely booked right now.
Due to COVID, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news. I don't want to jinx anything and be a dick, but that might get pushed back. There's a strong chance of that.
Who knows? But anyways, some people are like, oh, you'll be back in 2 weeks. And some people are like, I still can't walk after it. So what's your actual injury?
The actual injury, I've had knee issues as well. So I've had meniscus issues that I've just kind of dealt with, but I dislocated my patella.
Oh.
So basically my patella went from my kneecap, it went from the center of my leg to not the center of my leg. It basically went laterally. So it went around to like the outside of my leg and then popped back in after a few seconds after I think Charlon gently put it back in. But then I couldn't, it was a good like month. It was also bad as well because like I had a European vacation. Like we had like a family vacation. Like I went with some of my wife's family to Paris and we went to around there. It was a lot of walking. Yeah. So like I was like icing down my knee like in between like doing stuff. Like I was like, oh, maybe I'll go train like a day there. And I was like looking up gyms. And then like pretty much a week and a half before that, my knee gets ripped in half. And like, nope, not training there. Screw that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. But it was a dislocated patella, but I've torn my LCL on my other knee at one point. I was dealing with that for a while. I was actually competing with it for a while, which was probably not the best idea. Like was actually talking to other people about, because like everybody's trained injured or they just train through things, but that one I probably shouldn't have trained through because like I still feel it a little bit to this day. Like my knees are kind of shot, but this is also a reason why like I'm trying to work out a lot more because I feel my knees are a lot more stable. My joints are a lot more stable when I'm bigger, stronger, and heavier, I guess you can say, because I have a lot more, because I'm strengthening the ligaments and the tendons around, but a lot of like the muscles around them as well. If I'm getting those stronger in the right way, it helps to just kind of like reinforce everything versus like, being a little soy boy and not lifting.
Yeah, for sure. Oh man, that was the advice I got forever. Like you have to lift, not to be like jacked, but just to protect yourself. And didn't listen, hit 30 and everything fell apart.
That's usually what happens in general when you hit 30, because that's what happened. As soon as I turned 30, I had like probably like one of the worst injuries I think I've had doing jiu-jitsu.
Oh my. What was that?
I've had some other ones too.
I want to know, was that the knee thing?
That was the knee, yeah. But I've also dislocated I've had a whole bunch of injuries. I don't think I've ever really fully talked about them on here, but like worst, I guess we'll go into like worst jiu-jitsu injuries. We can start with Aaron. Male pattern baldness is not an injury, Aaron, but like if you have anything to share, you can go right ahead.
Yeah, no. The worst one I had was my ankle. So I went from a mounted triangle. So I was like in S mount, and then I went to throw the leg over. I connected the triangle, and then as I connected, the guy bridge to push off and basically rolled his entire shoulder and neck onto my ankle as my ankle rolled itself over. And I just felt it pop and explode. And I was like, oh my God, I broke my foot. Right. And I just I didn't know what happened. It sounded like a shotgun went off. Like, boom. Yeah. And so that one just, and automatically my ankle just started, I could just see the swelling just go up there. I'm like, that's not good. And so luckily I didn't break anything. I didn't tear anything, but it just it was just cartilage that just kind of popped and then it went back into place. So it wasn't a major injury. But the worst one that was the most painful one was my ribs. So the floating ribs, I separated those. Yeah. And so what happened was I was on the bottom north-south and the guy was just pinning my upper body down, but my legs were able to swing. So I was able to I was trying to swing so I could reach up and the leg kind of trap something or whatever. Yeah. And as I went to swing one hard over the side, I just felt everything go right in the, and I was like, oh my God, get off of me. Right. And I was like, he gets off of me. So I separated the two ribs or something like that. And to this day, and this was 7 years ago, to this day, still, if I sit in the wrong position for a long time, I can still feel it. It's still messed up and my serratus and all that. And that was the worst because the night of, I couldn't sleep. And then I lived in the basement at the time of my mom's place. And then I wake up in the morning, to go to work, and I can't get out of my bed. Yeah. And I'm I literally cannot get up. So I called my mom and I'm like, hey, Mom, I need your help. I need to get
Mom, get down here. Mom, bring me Oreos.
So she helps me out of bed, but that was the worst. That was the worst pain ever. So just rib injuries are because you can't do anything either.
No,
they can't sling you. No. They can't put a tension bandage on it. They just no, you gotta let it heal. That's it. I'm that is the worst.
I think I've had some floating rib injuries as well. I've basically sprained and ripped off some of the ligaments. So to this day, my ribs are actually a little bit warped in some areas where usually they wrap around and they sit, but when people tear the cartilage, the rib itself, it's supposed to sit and kind of sit flush all the way around your torso. Yeah, a couple of my ribs don't do that. They actually will stick and pop out a bit. So me trying to twist and spaz out of side control when you're a white belt or a blue belt with somebody who's 280 pounds on top of you doesn't work very well. I found out the hard way. Another one, ankle related, was I think I was competing. I think it was the Ottawa Open. So it was a semifinal match. This was 20 years ago when I used to compete. So my foot, I was trying to play De La Hiva. My foot was, wrapped around the outside. I'm hooking the back of their knees. So he steps, but then my foot gets wedged right between his legs, right in his crotch, right in the front. So there's that seam in the front of your pants. Mm-hmm. So speaking of why I don't think heel hooks should be legal at gi, I basically got my foot stuck and my foot went from this. So it was foot here and then it just rotated all the way around 180 and it just went, and all I heard was just pop, 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 pop. It was 7 or 8 pops. It was just da, 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 and you can see it on the video. I think I have to find the video somewhere. It's just da, 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 and then my foot just goes that, limp. That's 30 seconds into the match. So I know my ankle's completely wrecked at that point. So I pull him into close guard. And I'm like, okay, I got to find a way to sweep him and then stall like crazy on top because I can't stand up. I have no ankle right now. So I swept him. I did a big tornado sweep. I did a sideboard sweep because I was obsessed with them at blue belt. Swept him. I got up on top. I got the points. I stood up and then I get the points and then just pure instinct, my foot just gives out because I'm going to pass standing my foot just gives out. I fall down, and he gets back up, and he gets points on me again. And I think like Dan and Tony are like, "What the fuck are you doing? What's wrong with you?" He's like on top.
Yeah.
I'm like, I didn't want to say anything. My ankle is completely busted, and then we're competing, and then we're like rolling. I'm just playing like spider guard. I'm just basically just trying to keep him in my guard. I'm like just being purely defensive, keep him in my guard. And then I got to a point where I got up on like the world's worst single leg, and then I kind of like pushed him half-heartedly out of bounds, got an advantage, grabbed a collar, sat down again, and then pulled him into closed guard, stalled the rest of the match, and won. I stood up, I got my arm raised, and then like took 2 steps, and then my ankle just gave out again. I dropped to a knee, and I'm like, oh shit, this is not good. And then I didn't even look at my ankle, but I knew it was completely like wrecked at that point. So I go to the medic's table because I knew like something's wrong, and I pull up the ankle. It's basically like, so if I take my ankle, it was maybe like going up this way. So like here's my fist. And like, here's my calf. So this is the visual part of it. So it's like ankle, and then it's like ankles like this. It's like a snake just ate a baby, and then all the way down just went skinny again. They're like, and they're looking at me like, yeah, you're done today, man. You're not doing. I'm like, yeah, I can't walk. I think I'm good. And then like I had to forfeit my gold medal match because I couldn't even stand.
Yeah, you'd be done after that.
I was icing it and wrapping it right like crazy. And then the next day I was actually scheduled to ref. I ref the whole day on like a completely busted ankle. And I pretty much sat in the middle. Like I would stand like usually like where refs usually stand. Like you'll have one person on one side, one on the other, and then a person in the middle who's reffing. Like I just stood there the whole day, and I'm like, I'm not running after anybody. You go out of bounds and you hit a table, it's on you. I don't care. I can't move. I'm just here to call points, and that's it.
Yeah, man. That's basically like the exact same story as my last match that I had. It was against Matthew Isaacs, and basically we both pulled guard because we're light feathers. And I go to step
nice. So nobody passes guard at light feather.
No, but hey, I like it because I'll just get up right away and just not play that game and just try and pass. But in this case, I got up, got my advantage, and the first step I took, I felt my knee give out. Like you can see it in the video. I step, knee gives out, and I just sit back down. We basically just like scissor it out for 6 or 7 minutes. And
just let me bang, bro. Just let me bang.
The whole time I could hear my coach, my team screaming, just get up. I've lost so many matches just going for ankle locks and losing by like an advantage. So I could hear them all screaming, just get up, get your points, get up. There's a point I straighten my leg and I point to my leg, and you can hear them on the video. They're like, what is he doing? What is he? Get up! Like, yeah, I'm like, I can't. And then same thing though,
stop fucking pointing at your leg and get up.
Yeah, so I managed to get to my feet. I can't tell you exactly what happened. I think I like somewhat had a Kimura. We rolled out of bounds. I may have almost had a somewhat takedown just to like eke out a ref's decision. And it's like, okay, I got that. We're basically done for the day here.
It's like I am done. I retired.
Yeah. It's such a crazy feeling though when you feel it go out and you're like, oh no, I got 6 minutes left to go here.
It's basically how I felt with my ankle. It was like literally like I pulled guard and it was like 15, 20 seconds in. I'm like, I just pop. It was just like 7 or 8 pops. I'm like, all right, well, my ankle's completely wrecked. I don't know how I'm going to win this, but I'm going to give it the old college try here.
Oh well. Hey, how how's it feel giving out refs decisions in a close match? Do you just like shut your ears and then raise a hand?
Well, I've learned from like Mike is very biased, so he chooses who he wants to win. So he screwed over a lot of teams, and I've had like people reach out to me and they're not happy about it. So.
And they're not. Oh, I would like to see some of these emails. It's like, or these lawsuits that are like fake news. Like, I want to see some of these things. Like, Aaron, did you even receive any like mail or anything? Can we actually like pull this up?
Hey, I can't tell you my sources. Okay, the confidence.
You're full of shit because you don't have any sources. That's why.
Hey, look, it's just called being a good ref. That's all.
I think it comes down to I look at who's pressing the action, but also who is the closest to either scoring points or scoring submission. So I'll give you an example. Let's say it's one advantage to one advantage. Let's say you were competing against Maddie again. Let's say you had a really tight ankle lock. He's grimacing, but he gets out of it. Like you get an advantage. Or let's say he almost sweeps you, and then he gets an advantage, and it's 1-1. Basically, the way that it's been taught to me to award like a referee decision, whoever is closer to like winning the match decisively. So like, let's say you almost ankle locked or you almost submitted somebody versus somebody who had another advantage and they almost swept you. You should win that in theory because you almost scored a submission. He almost scored a sweep as one example. Another one can be, now if it comes down to like, it's 0-0 across the board, then you have to look at who got the closest to steal or stealing like an advantage for, like he off balanced him, but he didn't really like commit or come up onto a sweep, or he didn't secure it for like 3 seconds, for example. Something that didn't warrant an advantage, but like it's almost like a phantom advantage that you almost see at like black belt level, where it's like they almost kind of sort of did something and it kind of scores like an invisible advantage point, I guess you can say.
Yeah. Aaron, do you ref?
Those are really difficult to score, though.
Yeah,
Aaron doesn't ref.
No. Why do you ref? I don't know why anybody would want to ref.
Money helps actually.
Yeah.
And that was the main reason why I got into it. It was because like I was training, I was a blue belt, I was working like a bit here and there, but like let's say I wanted to travel and do a bigger tournament, what I would do is I would ref a lot more of the local ones. So I'd take a step back. I wouldn't compete I would still compete like locally, but then I would ref and take that money and I would put it away towards like, I'm going to go to Pans, I'm going to go to Worlds, I'm going to go to like different bigger tournaments. So I would basically take like that jiu-jitsu fund money and then do it and do bigger tournaments like that, like once or twice a year. That's kind of like the main reason why I got into it. Plus, like, it also helps to, once you ref and you understand the rules, it also helps you to become a better competitor too. Because what I've told people at our program that is now deceased for the time being is, like let's say you're playing a game of basketball and you're playing against somebody. How do you know if you're winning or how can you win if you don't know how to score points, or if you don't know how to score a basket, or you don't know like this is a 2-point shot, this is a 3-point shot. Like if you don't know that, like how you're at a huge disadvantage to, knowing how to win a jiu-jitsu match. Like if you know the fundamental rules of like, okay, like this is a takedown, this is a sweep, you would get an advantage for this, you would get a penalty for that. That knowledge is so, especially at the higher levels of competition, where those little tiny, like a lot of matches at the like a world-class level, they're usually decided by like an advantage. So if you don't know what an advantage is, needless to say, you're at a huge disadvantage by not knowing, how to manipulate the rules. So a lot of times, of course, like you want to go out like Aaron and just go like, screw points. I'm just going to try to toe hold at everything that moves. Yeah. Somebody's got my back. I'm going for a toe hold. Yeah. Somebody's in mount. I'm going for a toe hold, and I'm coaching them. And I'm going, what are you doing? You're down 17-0. But I have 5 advantages. And I popped this guy's ankle, which has happened. Speaking
of your reffing career, you reffed one of the biggest matches of my grappling career. Do you remember this?
One of the biggest ones.
The biggest.
I've reffed a lot of matches.
Which match was this?
Probably one of the most important matches of my life. A defining moment in my life.
Defining moment of your life.
We have a bond that you don't even understand.
We've
known each other for
this is where this ref decision. Did he fuck you on a ref decision?
No. Oh no, not at all. Not at all. Like 8 years and you don't remember this.
You
played a big role in my life.
I know what you're talking about. What's that? The biggest moment of your life?
Clean up on that one.
Hold on. I'm gonna guess. This is you're setting the stage. This is GTA Classic.
Oh,
My
shit,
memory's
I don't
being-
remember those details.
Okay, GTA Classic, 2012.
Yeah,
You were probably a white belt.
100%.
The heavyweight championship of the white belt light featherweight tournament finals. You
It does have to
may
do
or
with
may not have made another man throw up.
I may have been the thrower upper.
Oh yes, this is it.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
I'm gonna let you tell this story. Take it from there.
There's not much of a story. It was like that was the first tournament where I was like, I'm winning. I lost so much.
I'm gonna win it. I'm gonna win the
I
GTA
lost-
Classic. I'm the
I
fucking
lost.
man.
Hey, it was white
I'm gonna
belt.
get
That was a-
so many girls. You have no idea. I'm
It
gonna
was
go to the
white
bar.
belt.
I'm
It
gonna
was a
show them
big
my
deal.
GTA Classic bronze medal.
You don't understand. It was a big deal, okay? So run through just some savages, okay, at light feather white belt, okay?
There's so many
it was
savages, especially at white belts.
light
Shut
feather.
up. Let
They
him
were
tell a
big
story.
boys. But we got to it was the finals, and I was like, oh my god, I'm finally gonna win. I've competed so many times and just like lost constantly. Finally gonna win. Match is getting pretty intense. I think I may have been up an advantage. It was a close match. Like it was a white belt just scramble fest like usual. There's like literally maybe 30 seconds to a minute left. I'm not sure.
There wasn't a lot of
pushed-
time left.
What's that?
There wasn't a lot of time left. I
No.
think there was maybe about a minute left.
I don't even think there was a minute left. But we get pushed out of bounds. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it coming up before this. But I'm like, as long as we're going, it's all good. But we go out of bounds and we stop. And I feel it come up and I'm like, oh shit. I try to like tie my belt and come back in. I go out one time, a little bit comes out. But I don't think anybody noticed. So I put I go to walk back in one more time and then I run out and the video you see in the video just a spray. And the guy go, what the fuck just happened?
Everywhere.
Yeah. And then Mike with the cleanup on mat 1, which kind of killed the tension, which was nice. And
Yeah, I remember
yeah.
yelling that. I'm like, clean up on mat 1.
dude.
And then I looked at you, I'm like, no, you stay over there.
Well,
then
no, I
there's
gave
that-
you
there is-
I gave you my left hand.
Yeah. I gave you my left.
Oh man.
I remember, so there is actually an official rule where loss of bowel control, vomiting, etc. is like automatic disqualification. Like match is over. It doesn't matter if you're up 1,000,000-0 at that point. You
you
lose
didn't have
control.
to tell me that one. I knew I was out as soon as I puked. Yeah.
You screwed me over, Mike. You screwed me over all these years. I've been meaning to tell you I was gonna win that. I was gonna win that gold medal of the GTA Classic. That's so sacred. That I was gonna take to the bar and try to pick up some ladies with.
That was a moment where it was either I fold and just stop competing, or you just keep going. And look, it led to a long, illustrious, mediocre career. You know. So not bad.
It's okay, like it doesn't get any more mediocre than my career, so don't worry.
Well, the great thing about being light feather is you get max like 4 guys, so you're almost guaranteed a medal no matter what.
Yeah, especially if there's a double bronze day. It's awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
Double bronze is like how many matches did you win? That's not important. The
It's
important
not
thing
important.
is
Look
I
at the
got
picture.
2 chains around my neck. That's what's important.
Just look at the picture, okay?
I'm on the podium.
Yeah,
I got 2 chains.
I wasn't sure if you remembered that. Did you remember that and you're waiting for me to bring it up or what?
I remember that moment. I didn't know it was you that threw up. And then when you started talking about it, I was like, okay, I think you were involved in this. That was actually like one of the first tournaments I think I've ever reffed.
Yeah.
I think it was maybe my first or second ever. Because I remember I was talking, like Tony's one of my instructors. He was organizing a tournament and I was asking him just reffing rules and stuff. He's like, well, have you ever thought about reffing? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Like I've competed. I was competing a lot at blue belts. So I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm down. And he's like, what does it pay? He's like, no, we'll train you for the day. You get paid nothing. I'm like, oh, great. Thanks, Tony. But that was one of the perks of reffing is you do actually get paid for it eventually. But that was, thank you for bringing that up. That was actually one of the first tournaments I think I reffed, and it was off to a bang. I was was all downhill from there, unfortunately for me.
Oh man, yeah, that was an interesting moment for sure, where you realize like the nerves of being on the mats as opposed to just being in the gym. Like it's a different game being out there, you know.
Yeah.
It is a different feeling being, even if like nobody's watching your match, like it's just like it's the nerves of, you know, competition versus, and everybody has them. Like everybody, there's a bunch of people that say they don't have. Everybody has them. Like everybody gets nervous to a certain extent.
Yeah, like I've tried to have it's just another match. There's nothing to worry about or whatever. And every single time it's always nerves, and it doesn't really. I never shake it for whatever reason, and it's okay. But it's like then you go to the gym and it's like it's not nothing, and it's like what the fuck. Like I think if everybody could translate what they do in the gym compared to what they do on the mats, it's night and day. But it's always who can take that experience of the gym and bring that to the match, who always finds success a lot of times.
Yeah, for sure. That's the big difference maker. Everybody has heard the story of like the gym heroes, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's those guys that can somehow just clear their mind and be calm out there. Like I think just the anxiety of the moment can really narrow your vision. Those guys that can just, you know, stay calm, see everything that's going on around them, they tend to be the most successful.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Bill, I wanted to ask you, guys that you've seen coming up through the ranks, like I would say like recently, or maybe even like all time from like when B and you were competing a little bit more. Who are some guys to watch out for in the Canadian scene, and specifically maybe the Ontario scene right now? What are some names that you've seen that are like, okay, like not a lot of people know this guy, but like he can be this guy or girl that can be like a world-class talent down the road?
I mean, there's people that are already there. You've seen a lot of people recently actually get promoted to their black belts over the last few months. Like Mosley and Vicky Wong. Mike Sheehan, everybody's got to look out for Mike Sheehan. He's always, I don't know if you're asking for unknown guys because everybody knows him. On the come up.
Yep. Yeah, we've had Mike on previously before. He's somebody to watch, especially at brown and black belt.
Yeah, Kieran Kachuk is phenomenal. Like the big difference with some of these guys is they're taking it as if they're professionals already. So like he's preparing for each one of these tournaments like it's world. So you know that it's just a matter of time until they're kind of blowing up on the scene. You know what I mean? Who else as far as on the come up? Purple belt. Obviously because of like recency bias. I keep thinking about Max Hansen because he's had some great matches recently and he's doing really well. Toronto. Who do you guys have from the Toronto area? Like who comes to mind right away for you guys?
Here's a gentleman that I've watched a lot, who's also a fellow Hobson Mora teammate of Aaron's, is Urgus. I've seen him a lot compete at Gi and No-Gi. He just won No-Gi Worlds last year at Purple Belt. Yeah. He's somebody I've seen compete a lot the last few years. And
okay, so perfect. That reminds me, Amr then, because Urgus beat Amr in that tournament that you're talking about. So Amr's another guy.
He's another one. He'll be another one as well coming up. Like especially going into like I believe he's still purple belt. He's still a purple belt now, but going into like brown and black belt, which he's probably going to be in those ranks pretty sooner rather than later.
Shane Fishman.
Yeah, Shane.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. He's one of those guys that's just super calm, no matter what. Like I every time I've rolled with him, I just feel like I'm sinking into that game. Like his game because he just put out an instructional and you find yourself stuck in that like fishnet system no matter where you go. It's extremely frustrating. But who else is out there at who do you guys think of in the purple belt division?
Well, Urgus will probably be in brown belt soon, so but I think he's also going to move up to like heavyweight from what I can see on Instagram lately. Yeah. He looks huge.
He's getting on the gain train, Aaron. You got to join me and Urgus.
He's definitely on the gain train for sure. We're going to have him on the podcast soon, so we'll kind of get his full weight.
Janine at brown belt.
Janine at brown belt. Like she's a savage. Like she's going to be like, I think for her, it's just getting out to get some competitions in there right now. She's kind of like stuck.
Well, that's the tough thing for those girls around here is there's not much competition. And then they're all friends too. Like it's tough to find matches for them, you know?
Well, the issue is, and like we've talked to Patricia and Janine and a bunch of other local like higher belt females, it's once you kind of hit like purple belt and up, it's very difficult to start finding matches just because like the talent pool is just not there. I mean, it's a lot better than it was like like maybe in the early 2010s where it's like you have white belt females and you have like blue and up versus now it's like it's white, blue, purple, and then you have a few brown and black belts.
Yeah.
Where like I think it just needs more time to develop. But like she's somebody she just needs the matches like internationally where like unfortunately right now it's very difficult for her to travel just based on what she's doing. Yeah. But when, things with COVID die down and she's able to travel more and compete more, that will help them and other people like, get some more recognition and get noticed outside of Ontario.
There's a couple guys that Max trains with as well that are, I think, blue belts. I forget the one guy's name, Gabby something, and then another guy's name is Jedediah Wells. He's like he's a monster. He's huge, but apparently he's super technical. I think he's a blue belt right now, so he's another guy that we should be watching out for. I think in the next 4 or 5 years, we're gonna have a lot of solid brown and black belt competitors.
I think it's a matter of time before. Well, I would say for the males that there'll be like a gi purple belt world champion. There's been a lot of no gi world champions, like Urgus is a perfect example. Like him and Omer basically closed out like their division at like no gi worlds, for example. But I think it's a matter of time before you start seeing a lot of purple belt world champions in the gi, brown belt world champions, and eventually black belt world champions.
Yeah, for sure. There's this one kid. I don't know if I haven't seen him competing much recently. Brandon Hare. I think he's a purple belt now. He's maybe 17 or 18. He's really good too. So he's a guy to definitely watch out for.
He's somebody who trains at a Body of 4 in Milton. Yeah, he's been training since he was like 5 or 6. So like this is where you're going to start seeing a lot of that generation come up, where you're going to see people that are like they've been training like with somebody since they were like 5 or 6. And then when they turn 16, 17, they're like wrecking shop and everybody's like, whoa, who's this person? It's like, well, they've been at the kids tournaments like the last like 10 years. Yeah, now they're competing against adults. But like, basically it's like the Rutulo twins were like, they got their blue belts at 16, but really they're like black belts already. Like they competed at ADCC and they did really well at like all these world-class tournaments. Like they're already black belts. It's not official yet just because you can't give them a black belt yet because of their age.
Those have been some of my toughest matches against like I'm in my mid-20s blue belt going against a 16-year-old blue belt, and I'm like shaking because I'm like, God damn, I know this kid's going to be good because he's probably been doing this for 8 years or something. So, but the hard thing
is and it looks good.
Yeah, well, that's the concern, right? Is if they've been doing it for that long, and you're 20 and you've been doing it for 12 years. Like, is your body going to hold up? Like, I think there's a lot of risk in starting that young or competing that young, I think.
I mean, it kind of goes into the development of the individual, right? I mean, like, again, it depends on how hard they've been training, or have they been doing all the other stuff? Their body's conditioned for it, right? Whereas, like, you get a guy who's started when he was 20, now he's 30, he's been training for, again, the body doesn't heal like it did when it was younger too, right? So the younger athletes will have a better advantage of genetic, like biologically, they'll be conditioned more compared to an adult that's getting damaged and then still getting older, right? Mm-hmm. So it all depends on have they been injured badly or not, right?
Yeah, I mean, it pays off for some guys. Like, look at Nicky Ryan; he's been competing since he was like 14, and seems to be doing fine.
Yeah, he's on a special diet right now too. So
eating clean.
It's hard work. It's hard work.
It's hard work. It's all hard work in Puerto Rico.
Hard work in Puerto Rico.
How dare,
you know what? I would move to Puerto Rico if I had like
I would too. Trust me.
a few $1 million that I wanted to hide from the government. Just saying.
How dare they steal Ethan though? That's a
Yeah,
national treasure they're taking.
Yeah, Ethan went down there too.
Yeah,
and now John Denner is going down there too. They're all gonna go.
Yeah.
Like I think because like if you look at like New York, New Jersey, all those northern states right now are just a clusterfuck with like the lockdowns and all that. And as professional athletes, they can't train like they should be training. You have to make a move somewhere where you can train. Like if that's your job, you kind of you have no choice really.
Mm-hmm. That's good. I wonder what's going to happen with that. Like are they? How many people did they take? Did they take just like the Ryan brothers and Ethan, or they did take like a whole stable out with them?
I think most of the Danaher squad guys are probably going to probably live down there for the time being. So like they're probably just going to like buy a house on the beach, throw down some mats, train every day, or they might even just open up a gym or like an affiliate down there. Because eventually, if they decide, hey, we're going to move back to New York or New Jersey or wherever, they can have an affiliate out there, and then somebody can teach there, and they can run a gym.
Yeah. Oh man, we just need some competitions going on around here. Because I'm thinking about guys. I'm trying to think of more people. Oh, a lot of the 10th Planet guys are really good around purple and brown belts. Mm-hmm. James Banville. George Satis, I think it's a Greek name, so I have no idea how you word out or how you sound out those consonants.
There's a lot of vowels in there.
We're sorry, George Satis.
But yeah, big Kazushi.
George son of a.
But there's a handful of them out of there. Francis Saint Amour, they're really fun to watch too, and they have like the classic 10th Planet style where you think they're in trouble, like bottom side control. And then all of a sudden they're either on the back or they're throwing up triangles. They're fun guys to watch.
It's always exciting to see like guys attacking from different positions that may not look very conventional. And I think it's the fact that a lot of that stuff is very unconventional can catch a lot of people off guard. So it makes for interesting matchups. Bill, so I wanted to ask you before we wrap up this evening. So like, what are your plans for the future? Like post-COVID, going forward after today, like what's in your future?
Well, I really just hope to, assuming that this ends and we can get back to normal, I want to just get back to what the original plan was, which was just going to tournaments and just trying to get highlights of our competitors and just keep shouting out the guys around here and just keep trying to build a bigger community, like have the people out west be able to see who's competing in Toronto. We can see who's out west, out east, all that. It's a big country. It's so wide that it's hard to see, you know what I mean? So that's the plan. Hopefully just get back to keep making more videos and giving people a place to see Canadian grappling.
No, I think that's a great idea. I'm looking forward to hopefully getting back into that, and hopefully we can start training and we can start filming more. And again, like we said, like actually have like sit down interviews and meet a bunch of new people and travel all throughout Canada and just build more media. That's the big thing. It's just getting more messages and more media out there.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And that's it. That's again like why it's great that you guys are doing this, because you're bringing more attention to more athletes, and that's what we need. Same with like PFed. Shout out PFed. He's doing some good interviews too. Sorry, I know it might be a rivalry in the podcast game there, but
no. We just did. We just
did one with him recently.
I'm just kidding. You gotta edit.
If things unfortunately, if they don't work out with me and Aaron, I'll probably just jump on his podcast and be his co-host and annoy him to death.
It's a good plan, backup plan, not bad.
And then they'll wonder, was it just me or was it him? We don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. But man, I just want to get back to normal. I want guys to be able to train like this. It's like I was saying at the start, there's no money in it. A lot of people are struggling to get by as it is. So like if they can at least get back to training and not getting locked down all the time, that would be great. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Right. Like it's just like have a goal, actually work. Again, it's all about mental health too. So these guys can just at least start to strive towards achieving a goal and have an idea of something, right? So, no, hopefully we get there soon. Vaccines are on the way. And what was it? JJ said June the 7th, we should be back to normal. So I'm sticking with June the 7th. Everything should be fine.
I'm going to circle that day. If things aren't back to normal yet, I'm going to have some words with JJ. I'm putting it out there right now.
Wait,
you lied to me. Why did you say? You said it would be over.
Who's JJ? Is JJ our
JJ Filipovic. We had him on. He has a gym in Hamilton. He said specifically, he named a date, June 7th, 2021. There will be no more COVID. That's what he said. Those are his words, not mine.
That's what he said.
What type of information does he have?
I don't know. He's maybe talking to Bill Gates somewhere or something. I don't know.
But he's damn confident.
He's damn confident.
So June the 7th, we will reconvene and we'll hopefully back in training.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, guys. If this is the end, then I really appreciate it.
This is the end.
And yeah, go subscribe to the channel. You know what I mean? Everybody go subscribe. I don't like saying that, so I'll just say it right now.
Exactly. Everybody should subscribe.
Yeah.
You can be one of those YouTube influencers. Please subscribe to my channel. Smash the like button.
Oh, see, I don't like.
Follow me on
doing
Facebook,
that.
Twitter, Instagram, Grindr, all those places where you can find Bill Defreitas.
Oh, I'm big on Grindr.
Oh, I bet you are.
Hey.
All right, guys. Thanks very much.